Hi and welcome to this Yoga Without series, and today's class is a yoga without kneeling. So it is a standing class. We'll do the entire class just standing up. It also doubles up as a yoga without wrists class, so we won't be putting any weight on the wrists throughout this whole class. You may like to have a couple of props, so you can either have a yoga block or maybe a brick or a book, an old book, and just place them down the back, towards the back of the mat for now. If you haven't got them, don't worry about it too much. We can just rest our hands on different body parts to help support us as well. So we'll start in a standing position. When you're ready, just bringing the feet about hip distance apart, second toes pointing forwards, arms down by the side. And we'll start by drawing our chin towards the chest. And then rolling the left ear over the left shoulder. Chin to chest. Right ear over right shoulder. Chin to chest. We'll do that one more time each side. So left ear, left shoulder. Chin to chest. Right ear, right shoulder. Chin to chest. And bring the head back up to neutral. Then we'll take a couple of shoulder rolls. On the inhale, so if you can draw the shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale, draw them down the back. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders towards the ears. Exhale, roll them down the back. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale. Great. So from here, on the inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Really start to stretch through the fingers. You can really stretch the fingers as wide as you can, so creating space, really stretch through the fingers, reaching up. And then with the left hand, you can take the hand around the right wrist. Inhale again to lengthen. And then exhale, just drop over towards the left side. Inhale to come back to center, swap the grip of the wrist. On the next inhale, lengthen. And exhale, just drop over to the opposite side. Inhale to come back up to center, release the hands back down. You can take a couple of shoulder rolls again if you like. And then when you're ready, we'll bring both arms up and overhead, and we'll just start to bring the hands forward and draw really big circles with the hands. So we start to get some heat in the shoulders. And then switch directions, so send the hands backwards. If this hurts the shoulders at any point, then just come out of the pose, or maybe make the circles a bit smaller. Bring the hands up overhead, and we'll see if we can send the left hand forward and the right hand back. So just trying to wake up the mind a little bit as well, and then switching directions. And then when you're ready, just bring the hands down, shake it out a little bit. Maybe rolling the shoulders again. I do like to roll the shoulders out quite a bit. And from here, we'll bring the hands behind us. We'll interlace the fingers, try and bring the palms towards each other. If this isn't available to you, then you can just take the hands to opposite wrists, opposite forearms, maybe opposite elbows, wherever you can reach. That's perfectly fine. If that's still a problem and you've got your block, then you can always just, or your book even, you can always bring the book behind you as well. It's just about opening up the chest a little bit. So whichever option you take, on the inhale, start to draw the hands down so you start to feel the chest open. The gaze can be up if it feels okay to the neck. And on the exhale, draw the belly button in as you start to hinge from the hips. And bring the torso so it's parallel to the floor. On the next inhale, start to lengthen again through the spine. And exhale, draw the belly button in, so if you can continue to fold forwards. Keeping a bend in the knees, so you don't want to lock the knees out here. You might want to bend them quite a lot, even resting your belly on top of the thighs. And keep the back nice and straight, hands up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, release the hands, just let them dangle there. Inhale, bring the hands towards the shins or the thighs. Just come up for a flat back position. Then exhale, forward fold, release the hands. On the inhale, start to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Roll in the shoulders down and back when you get to the top. Arms down by the sides. We'll do that 2 more times. Just a really great way to open the chest and warm up the spine a little bit as well. So again, we'll bring the hands behind us, whichever option we like, interlacing the hands. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, and exhale, start to fold forward until the torso is parallel to the floor. Inhale again to lengthen. Exhale, continue to forward fold. Bend in the knees as much as you need to. You might just be here today, which is perfectly fine as well. And then release the arms down, just let them dangle here. Inhale, bring the hands to the shins or the thighs, come up to a flat back position. Exhale, fold. And on the next inhale, start to roll up to standing, one vertebrae at a time, leaving the head to last. And then roll the shoulders down and back when you get to the top. Right, so one more time, bring the hands behind us. Start to open up through the chest. And exhale, pull the navel in as you start to fold forward. Once the torso is back parallel to the floor, just hold it there. The inhale, as you lengthen through the spine. And exhale, continue to fold forward. Maybe releasing the head down. And release the hands again, just let them dangle there. Inhale, bring the hands to the shins or the thighs, come up for a flat back position. And exhale, forward fold. On the inhale, start to roll up again. Roll in the shoulders down and back. Great. So move into a little bit of a warrior sequence now. So we'll start at the top of the mat, so the opposite end to where your blocks are if you're using blocks. And then again, we'll start with our feet about hip distance apart. And just to start to ground us, so we've got really good balance during these poses, we'll start by lifting all 10 toes off the floor and then placing them back down. And this time we'll just lift the big toes off the floor, leave the 4 little toes on the mat. And then place the big toe back down. And then see if you can lift the 4 little toes off the ground, leaving the big toe on the ground. And place them back down. And then the most challenging one, what I find the most challenging one, see if you can just lift the 3 middle toes off the ground and keep the big toe and the pinky toe down. Really training our brain here. So I can't quite do it, but just notice that if you can't do it, that's perfectly fine. The more you practice this, the more your brain will become in tune with your toes and the nerves in there as well. So then just place the toes back down, and we'll start to move into our warrior sequence. So we'll start with the left leg, step the left leg back, toes can be out 45 degrees, or you can come onto the ball of the foot, bend in the front knee, bending over that front ankle. Bring the hands to the hips, just make sure your hips are in a nice straight line. On the inhale, reach the arms up if that feels okay for the shoulders. You can bring your hands to your waist or hips at any point if that feels better for you. And on the exhale, start to rotate the body so you face on the left side of the room, and then just drop your arms down so they're shoulder height, palms facing down. Keep that bend in the front knee. So this is our warrior 2. Rotate the front palm so it's facing up. Drop the back hand down. Inhale, sweep that front arm up and over. And inhale to come back up. This time we'll hinge forward at the hips. Bring that front arm down. Just rest it on top of the thigh. And see if you can sweep that left arm up. The hand can be facing up towards the ceiling, or you can bring the hand all the way over. Palm facing down. And inhale to come back up to our warrior 2. Then from here, pivot the toes so they're facing the left side of the mat. So we'll be working through what is called a Mandela sequence today. So we start at the front of the mat, we come to the left side, the back of the mat, the right side, and then back up to the front. So we do a bit of a circle one way, and then we come back doing the same sequence the other way. So just to make you aware, you will be facing the back of the mat at some point here. So now we're facing the left side. We'll just pivot the heels in slightly so the toes are pointing out about 45 degrees each way. Keep an eye on your knees. We'll be moving into a little bit of a squat. You just want to make sure your knees are tracking in line with the toes. And if you feel any pain at all, you can readjust the feet, but just keeping the knees in line with the toes. So from here, bring your hands to your hips and just start to squat down. Just come to a position that feels okay for you. It will be slightly challenging in a squat position. You'll start to feel the legs engage. Engaging the muscles in the legs and really building strength in those muscles will help support the knees. So if you do experience any knee issues, just generally, this is a good way to start to build some strength in the muscles that support the knees. Then from here, bring your hands to the tops of your thighs. You want your thumbs pointing in. And we'll take the right shoulder towards the left knee. It doesn't have the top to touch it, it's just a little bit of a twist. Looking out towards the back of the mat. Inhale back up to centre, and then exhale, just take it to the other side. And inhale to come back to centre. And from here we can straighten the legs, straighten the arms, 5-pointed star, really stretch through those fingers. And from here we'll rotate the feet so they're facing what is the back of the mat, so the same edge as your blocks or your bricks. The back foot is angled out about 45 degrees, or you can come onto the ball of the foot again, hips facing forward. And inhale to reach the arms up if that feels good for you. Now try to bring the weight into that front foot or front leg as you bring the weight forward, lift the back foot up and bring the foot in front of you. You can bring the hands to the hips. It might feel a little bit better for the balance. I'm just going to come to the side so you can see this a little bit better. So from here, start to just open the knee towards the right. And we will be taking tree pose. So there's 3 options with the legs. You can bring the heel towards the ankle. Toes can rest on the ground. Second option is towards the calf. Third option is towards the inner thigh. So that's our 3 options. So just take the one that feels good for you. Maybe play around with them a little bit. The hands can stay on the hips, or you can bring them into prayer in front of the chest. You can maybe reach them above the head, keep them in prayer, or just bring them out to the side. Just hold it here for 2 more rounds of breath. If you come out, if you fall out the pose, that's perfectly fine. Just see if you can come back into it. Then when you're ready, slowly just coming out of the pose, releasing the legs, releasing the arms. Maybe shake it out a little bit. Rock back and forth on the feet. Notice how you feel. So we'll take chair pose now. As I mentioned before, we'll be building some strength in the leg muscles just to help support those knees. So you can either have the feet, so the big toes are touching a little bit of a gap in the heels, or you can have the feet about hip distance apart. If they are hip distance apart when we come into this pose, it's another squat position. You just want to make sure that the knees are tracking over the toes. So take whichever option is best for you. And we'll just start to squat down, bringing the bum out behind us. So imagine you're sitting back into an invisible chair. The hands can come towards the floor, so you might touch the floor here. And then keeping the bum nice and low, so if you can sweep the arms up. Pull the belly button in, so you engage the core muscles. Just holding it here for 2 more breaths. And then bring the arms behind you. So this is aeroplane arms. Just if you can come up onto the balls of the feet, so we're balancing here, an awkward pose. And then dropping the heels down, reaching the arms back up for chair. And then inhale to just come up to a standing position, reach over the fingers. And then release the arms down. You can, if you like, maybe just walk the legs out a little bit, notice how they feel. So when we're ready, we'll be moving to the opposite side of the mat now. So this time stepping back with the left leg. And you don't want the stance to be as wide as your warrior stances. You can try if you like, but you might notice for this next pose you want to readjust the legs slightly. So maybe just take a slightly shorter step. And the hips are facing forwards. And start to straighten that front leg and hinge at the hips so your torso is parallel to the ground. Be careful not to lock that front knee, you do want a slight bend in it. And this is where you might want to use your block or your book, just bringing it on the inside of the foot. You can bring your hands towards your shins if you haven't got a block. You might want to rest the hands on the block, maybe on the floor, or you can just stay up like this, maybe keeping your hands on your hips. On whichever option you take, if you do want it to fold a little deeper, we'll be moving on the exhale. So on the exhale, pull the navel in, maybe dropping the head down, maybe releasing the hands. So this is pyramid pose. From here, with the left hand, start to open up the body towards the left side of the room. And we'll bring that left arm up, stretching through the fingers. Again, you might want to use your block here, or you can just rest the hand on the inside. I'll just come around so you can see a second. On the inside of the calf, you might even have it just on the inside of the thigh, depending on where you are today. Let's just see what feels good for you. Try and create space between the ear and the shoulder. So if you notice your shoulder coming up towards your ear like this, see if you can just pull the shoulder blade down so you create a bit of space there. So this is triangle pose. Now imagine someone is pulling you from that left hand as you pull the navel in, push through the legs and come up to a standing position. Great. Now pivot the toes so they're facing, so you might see my back now. Right, so you're facing the opposite side of the mat to before. This time you want the toes pointing forwards so they're in line with the heels. Bring your hands to your waist. I'll just show you from this side. Right. And then start to hinge forward from the hips, so we're not bending the back, trying to keep the back nice and straight, and just bring the torso again so it's parallel to the floor. You can keep your hands on your hips if you like, or on your waist. You can bring the hands maybe towards the thighs, maybe towards the shins, maybe on the floor. On the next exhale, just pull that navel in again and see if you can just drop the head down, maybe fold forward. You might just be here today, or you might be a little bit further into the stretch, but just take which option feels good for you. You might notice that it changes day to day. On the inhale, draw the navel in, push through the legs, so having a bit of a bend in the knees as you push your way back up to a standing position. And again, just pivot the heels in, stretch through the fingers, come into 5-pointed star, stretching, creating lots of space. And then pivot the left toes and the back toes, so we're facing towards the side of the mat that we started at, so our original front of the mat. And then just step forward with the back foot to the front of the mat, arriving where we started. So that's one side of mandala done. We're going to repeat the exact same sequence on the other side now. So start in our standing position. We'll step back with the right foot this time, toes 45 degrees or on the ball of the foot. Bend in the front knee over the ankle, hips parallel to the front, and inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, rotate the body so we're facing the side, the right side of the wall. And exhale to drop the arms down, palms facing down. Gaze can be over the front fingers. Rotate the front palm so it's facing up, drop the back hand down, and inhale to sweep that arm up and over. Again, the hand might be just up towards the ceiling, or it might be over here. Inhale to come back up. This time we'll hinge forward slightly at the hips, bring the left arm down onto the thigh and just sweep the right arm over. Inhale to come back up to our warrior two. From here, pivot the toes so they're pointing the side of the mat. We'll take our goddess squat again, so just pivot the heels in so the toes are out about 45 degrees either side. Hands can come to the hips or waist to start, and then just start to squat down, keeping the back nice and straight. And then bring the hands so you've got the thumbs on the inside of the thighs. Then from here, we'll take the left shoulder towards the right knee, just for a little bit of a twist. Inhale back up, exhale, opposite side. Inhale, back up, and then start to straighten the legs, straighten the hands for 5-pointed star. Now pivot the feet so they're facing the back of the mat, so the one with your blocks or books if you're using those. Start to rotate the hips so they're facing the front of the mat as well. Bend through that front knee. And then from here, start to bring the weight forward into that front leg. Lift the back leg off the floor, bring that foot out in front of us. So in a little bit of a standing, balancing pose. And then start to just open the left knee out towards the left side. We'll be taking our tree pose again. So the 3 options: heel against the ankle, the calf, or the thigh. So take which option feels good for you, and then bring the hands, maybe leave them on the hips, maybe to prayer, maybe above the head. We'll stay here for 3 more rounds of breath. after the next exhale, just release the feet, release the hands. Be taking our chair pose next. So again, you can have the feet to the hip distance apart, just making sure the knees are tracking over the toes, maybe bringing the big toes together with a bit of a gap in the heels. And then start to bring the hips back. So imagine that you are sitting in that invisible chair. Hands can come towards the mat. Let's just make sure you get nice and low. And then bring the hands up, keeping the hips nice and low. Hold it here for 2 rounds of breath. And then bring the hands behind us for aeroplane arms. Come on to the balls of the feet for awkward pose, so it's a bit of a balancing pose. And drop the heels back, reach the arms up. And the next inhale, straighten through the legs, bring the arms up, arms down by the side. Maybe just walk the legs out a little bit there. Right. So we'll continue moving around the mat, this time stepping back with the right foot. So again, you want to have maybe a smaller, play around with it. I mean, a wide stance might feel good for you, but you can move the foot in a little bit if you like. Hands to hips, make sure they're nice and straight, and start to straighten through that front leg, keeping a little bit of a bend in that front knee so you're not locking the knee. And then start to hinge forward at the hips, pull the navel in to give you a bit more space to start to hinge. And then stay here for the inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, pull that belly button in again. See if you can just fold a little bit more forward, or you can stay here. Maybe releasing the hands to a block, to your ankle, maybe to your thigh. And you might like to release the head down. From here we'll move into triangle pose. So you want to bring the left hand on the inside of the left leg, and then start to open up the hips and the body towards the right. You can bring that hand up overhead. You can always bring that down to the hips if you feel any pain in the shoulders. And that left hand can be on the inside of the leg anywhere, maybe even resting on that block. Now imagine someone is pulling you from that right hand as you pull the navel in, push through your legs, come up to a standing position. Right. And then pivot your toes so they're facing the side of the mat. And this time having a straight line between the toes and the heels. Bring your hands to your hips. Pull the navel in on the exhale, creating space so we can start to hinge forward. Bring the torso parallel to the floor. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, maybe see if you can fold forward a little bit more. You can keep the hands on your hips or waist if you like. Maybe bring the hands towards the ankles, the calves, the thighs. And on the inhale, start to engage the muscles in the legs, really push through the feet, pull the navel in and just make your way back up to a standing position. We'll bring our hands up and overhead, stretch through the fingers, stretch through the crown of the head. And then rotate the feet so we're facing where we started at the front of the mat. And step that back foot forward to the front of the mat. Just noticing how the body feels for a moment. Maybe taking a few deep breaths. So we'll just take a couple of counter poses before we finish the class. We've done a lot of hip opening, so now we'll just do the opposite kind of action. So while standing, we'll just cross the left leg over the right foot. Bring the hands to the hips. So you can stay here if you like, or you can just start to hinge forward. This is a really great stretch for the IT band. You can stay with torso parallel to the floor, or you can hinge forward as much as you like. My IT band tends to be quite tight, so I don't like to go too far, but feel free to go as far forward as you like. Then push through the feet, come back up standing. We'll do that on the opposite side, so crossing the right foot over the left. Stay here if you like, or maybe start to hinge forward on the exhale. Try and keep a bit of a micro bend in those knees. You don't want to lock the knees out at all. And just fold forward as much as feels comfortable. If you feel any sharp pains or anything, then come out. And push through the feet, make your way back up to standing, release the legs out. And we'll do the same, so the opposite movement with the chest, because we did a lot of chest opening in that. So bring the left arm across the right. You can bring the right arm under. Make sure the shoulder's not drawing up, so maybe just pull that shoulder down slightly. So you can stay here for the first option, or you can see if you can just place the left hand on the right shoulder, right hand on the right shoulder, and then maybe start to lift the elbows up. This is just a deeper version of this stretch. And take a few deep breaths here. And slowly releasing the arms, the same way you came in. We'll do the same on the opposite side, so right arm across the body and the left arm under. Don't put any pressure on the elbow, you want to have it on the fleshy part of the arm. Then just bring that shoulder down if it is creeping up at all. So this is your first option that you can take, or you can take the left hand to or the right hand to the left shoulder, left hand to the right shoulder, and maybe start to lift the elbows up. Just taking a few deep breaths here. And releasing the arms. We'll just end the practice with a few breath to movement. So we've done this throughout the practice today. It's a classic aspect of vinyasa practice where we move with our breath, and often it can help us get deeper into the pose or feel the stretch in certain places that we're supposed to feel them. So on the inhale, we'll reach the arms up, stretch through the fingers. On the exhale, bring the palms together and just draw the palms down in front of the chest. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, just big circle with the hands up and around. Exhale, draw the palms together and just start to draw them down in front of the chest. And 1 more time. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of the chest. And that is the end of our practice today. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back here next week. And next week's class is yoga without the wrists. So it will be a completely different class to today, and I hope to see you there. Thanks, have a great day.